Hello and welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. Calls grow for the release of a Leeds student jailed in Saudi over social media posts supporting women's rights.
It is outrageous and she should be freed, should be able to return to her family and to her studies at Leeds if that's what she wants to do.
There are calls for the Foreign Secretary to intervene. Also tonight, a motor neuron disease patient says she's confined to living in one room of her home after waiting months for a council flat. With just 1 week to go until the hosepipe ban comes in, we share some top water-saving tips. The Bradford photographer with international acclaim bringing his work to Salts Mill for an eye-opening new exhibition.
And most of us enjoyed some sunshine today. This is the view looking towards the Peak District, plenty of blue sky, and I think there'll be more sunshine on offer this weekend. I'll be back later in the programme with all the details.
And thank you for joining us. 34 years in a Saudi Arabian jail. That's the sentence handed down to Leeds student Salma Al-Shabab for simply retweeting messages on social media. As details of the conditions of her incarceration have been revealed, Leeds MP Hilary Benn has called on the government to press for her release, allowing her to return to Yorkshire to complete her studies. Human rights groups say the harsh sentence proves that despite their insistence, the Saudis aren't improving women's rights. Gemma Dillon has more.
The voices calling for Salma's release are growing. The 34-year-old mother of two and Saudi citizen was arrested at the beginning of last year while on holiday there. Leeds MP Hilary Benn is the latest voice calling for her release.
This young mum who'd gone back to visit her family gets arrested for what? For using Twitter to express support for jailed activists in Saudi Arabia, for women's rights and for freedom. And it is outrageous. And I wrote yesterday to Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, to express my concern and to call on her to make representations to the Saudi authorities for Salma's release.
It follows a Leeds University statement earlier this week saying they are deeply concerned to learn of this recent development in Salma's case and they are seeking advice on whether there's anything they can do to support her.
It's hard to imagine that it's tweets like this which translate as freedom for the prisoners of patriarchal systems and shame and disgrace for the jailer are what's led to Salma Al-Shihab being jailed for 34 years, with a 34-year travel ban imposed on her release. It's what those campaigning for her freedom say is outrageous.
The campaign group Freedom Initiative are working with Salma and say she's faced abuse and harassment since her detention.
What she has described has been awful. She was harassed, her family was insulted, her religion was insulted. She was kept awake for long periods of time during her interrogation. She was threatened that if she didn't confess to having sympathies with the Muslim Brotherhood, that she would never see the light of day. So her treatment has been all around awful.
Before her trip, Salma had called for reforms in Saudi Arabia and the release of activists like Lena's sister.
It is outrageous and it's actually unprecedented. We've seen that the Saudi government has been selling the narrative of empowering women and improving women's rights. And this sentence, after my sister's sentence, is an illustration of it only being words.
The Saudi government has so far not commented on the reports, but her classmates in Leeds are unsure if she'll ever return to her studies here. Gemma Dillon, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Next tonight, a woman from Leeds with motor neurone disease says she feels let down after waiting months for an adapted council flat. Former teacher Michelle Forbes has lost nearly all mobility in her lower body since she was diagnosed in early 2021. She's now trapped living in one room of her home, unable to go outside without help. Corinne Wheatley has been to meet her.
Michelle Forbes was diagnosed with motor neurone disease 18 months ago. She was told her life expectancy could be around 3 years.
Good job of taking this door off.
As her condition deteriorates, getting around her home in Morley in Leeds has become harder and harder.
It's like being encaged in one room. I have a hospital bed to sleep on down here. I have a commode next to my hospital bed. and this is the only room I can receive visitors, and it's quite uncomfortable to know that your commode's in the same room as anybody who's coming to see you. Yeah, living in one room is really not good for your mental health.
Michelle was placed on a priority housing list, but she says many of her queries to Leeds City Council went unanswered. It was a year before she was finally offered a suitable flat. That was in March. Adaptations on the property have been delayed, so she's still waiting. Meanwhile, she's unable to get up the stairs or shower in her privately rented house.
I'm risking falling every time I step out the door, and that could shorten my life. And I won't get well again if I do fall and really hurt myself. My carers are also risking their health trying to help me. My biggest issue is I don't have my freedom to come in and out of my house.
In a statement, Leeds City Council says it is aware and understands the issues Ms Forbes is currently facing, and we are actively working with her to ensure they are resolved at the earliest opportunity. Significant work needs to be carried out on the property before she can move in. The work is currently with a contractor and will be completed as soon as possible.
My life would be so different if I could move into my flat within the next few weeks, because I'd have everything on one floor. I would be able to take electric wheelchair home. It just doesn't feel like it's human to keep me like this. I feel honestly that most things have been a struggle. So from the very beginning, when I had no idea how to claim benefits, that was a struggle. And I've just felt like everything is a fight. The authorities that should have been there to help me have let me down. And it's really important that whatever your condition, however long you've got to live, that you are able to access what you need to do to enjoy your life. And I'd like things to change because I don't want others to have to go through what I've been through.
Yeah, thank you to Michelle for sharing her story. Corinne Wheatley with that report. Well, Leeds City Council says Michelle will be rehomed in the next couple of weeks. Let's hope the move goes smoothly. Earlier I spoke to Alex Massey from the MND Association, and I started by asking how typical Michelle's situation was.
Unfortunately, Michelle's situation is quite typical of many people with MND. We did some survey work of people with MND recently in relation to their housing and their concerns around accessible housing, and found that lack of access to new accessible homes, as well as delays in providing adaptations for existing homes, is one of the key issues that concerns people. So there are a lot of people out there trapped in inaccessible housing that does not meet their needs. And in fact, it's not just people with MND. It's estimated that around 300,000 people disabled 300,000 disabled people in England are living in homes that are inaccessible and unsuitable for them.
Of course, there are a lot of people on these housing waiting lists, but do you think somebody like Michelle, whose condition is deteriorating so quickly, should be treated more urgently?
I do. I think this case demonstrates why it's so important that councils understand how MND affects people and the need to respond quickly to those needs. MND is a progressive condition, and it's a condition that can progress extremely rapidly in some cases. And as it does progress, it has profound physical impacts on the person who is affected. So people simply cannot wait months on end, trapped in an inaccessible home that they can't enter, can't exit, can't use the facilities in the home safely. They need a solution. They need accessible housing that meets their needs, and we need local authorities to respond quickly to those needs and deliver that support.
And Michelle describes the misery of being confined to a single room. It's not just her physical health, but it's her mental health too, isn't it? And trying to navigate that support system.
Absolutely. Being trapped in an inaccessible home that doesn't meet your needs can have a huge range of impacts, both physical and mental, and it affects health and well-being in a wide range of ways. And as you say, there is that frustration of having to deal with a system that simply is not responding to your needs.
And just briefly, what more can be done?
Well, I think we need local authorities to recognise that somebody in Michelle's situation with a rapidly deteriorating condition like MND needs to be fast-tracked for support. We simply cannot have people waiting for months and months on end in an unsafe and unsuitable housing that puts their health at risk. So we need local authorities to understand how MND affects people and how they can use their discretion to ensure that support is delivered as quickly as possible. And that should include fast-tracking people and prioritising people who are suffering from a progressive and terminal condition like motor neuron disease.
Yeah, Alex Massey, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, Yorkshire Water have today thanked customers for reducing usage ahead of next week's hosepipe ban. The heatwave in July saw water usage surge to 1.5 billion litres a day, whereas last weekend's peak was around 100 million litres, lower than that at 1.4 billion. The agency currently have over 500 people fixing leaky pipes across the region. And here's a reminder of how the ban will affect you. From next Friday, for domestic users, it will mean an end to hosepipe use for things like watering the garden and plants, cleaning vehicles, filling or maintaining hot tubs, swimming pools and paddling pools. And anyone flouting the ban faces a fine of up to £1,000. So what can you do to help save even more water? Beth Parsons has been getting some expert tips from Yorkshire Water.
It's clear to see what the problem is if you visited any of our reservoirs recently. This was Thrushcross Reservoir in the Washburn Valley a month ago. This was Eckup Reservoir on the outskirts of Leeds last week. And levels were so low in Ripponden, this ancient bridge could be walked over for the first time in a very long time at Batings Reservoir. So the average person uses around 130 litres of water every single day. And it's that number that we need to get down in order for the reservoir levels to get back up. So what can we do in our own gardens and our homes? Well, I'm here to meet someone from Yorkshire Water who can give us some top tips. I've been joined today by Amy Linfoot. This is quite obviously a water butt. How could this help us?
A water butt is a fantastic way to not have to use the great quality drinking water that we have in Yorkshire to water your lawn. They're brilliant at capturing rainwater. You can fill up your watering can and water your plants that way. Such a better way to water your garden than using the tap water.
One of the biggest giveaways for gardens over the past few months has to have been the fact that our grass is a bit brown. How much of a problem is that?
So it's not a problem at all. Brown lawns will bounce back. When it rains, the roots of the grass will search for the water underneath and the grass will be lovely and healthy. It's better than using a sprinkler or a hose pipe that can use as much water in an hour as a family of 4 uses in a day.
So it's not just in the garden that we can save water, of course it's inside the house as well. 3 things a lot of people have in their kitchens: a sink, a dishwasher and a washing machine. What can we do with all 3 of those, Amy?
So these are really easy and simple. If you've got a sink, it's sometimes really good to have a washing up bowl in it. So when it stops you running the tap whilst you're cleaning your plates, and you could collect the water and use it in your garden to water your plants. The dishwasher and the washing machine, just make sure that they're full. There's no point in turning them on with a sock in or a couple of plates. Fill them up, and if you have an eco setting, it's really good to put it on that because that uses less water too. So the bathroom is the room in your house that uses the most water. All that showering, brushing and flushing. Better to have a shower than a bath. A 4-minute shower is the kind of optimum level. Really, really simple one that you can do and everybody can do in a house is to turn the tap off when you brush your teeth. And then finally your toilets. So dual flush toilets use far less water, but some homes will have the older toilets with the bigger cisterns. You can get what we call the flush saver device and it reduces the amount of water you use every time you flush.
So they may all seem like really little things that you and I can do every single day, but if you remember that we're currently using around 130 litres every single day per person, we could all help out by saving a bucket load of water. Beth Parsons, BBC Look North.
Yes, some great ideas there. And thanks to Amy Linfoot from Yorkshire Water for those water-saving tips. Well, yesterday we asked you for your water-saving ideas, and here's a handful of your top tips. Well, Lee from Sheffield is using the water from his tumble dryer to water the plants. While waiting for the tap water to run warm, Sue collects the cold water and uses it to flush the toilet. Good idea. Now, Trevor takes things very seriously. He showers on alternate days and has switched to cold water when shaving and washing up. And Melanie has been using the bath water to water the plants in the garden. Lots of good ideas. Keep them coming in. We did have some other ideas, but they weren't clean enough to broadcast. I'll leave that to your imagination. Now you're watching Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. There's no place like home. We meet the filmmakers promoting Yorkshire on a global scale. Some news brief now, and a West Yorkshire man who killed his wife on their wedding night and stuffed her body into a suitcase has been jailed for life. A warning: you may find the following video distressing. Police have released CCTV footage showing 46-year-old Thomas Nutt with the suitcase before he dumped Dawn Walker's body in bushes behind their home in Lightcliff near Halifax. Nutt had strangled the 52-year-old just hours after they were married and stored her body in a cupboard. He's been sentenced to a minimum of 21 years in prison. West Yorkshire's bus services have been given a lifeline, according to the region's mayor, after routes at risk of being cut have been saved by extra government money. The bus recovery grant was brought in to support services during the pandemic, but was due to end in October. Now, funding has been extended for an extra 6 months, following a letter to the government from Tracy Brabin and other mayors of northern regions. Emergency stop and search powers have been brought in by police in Huddersfield after warnings of an increased threat of violence. The special order gives officers the power to search people or vehicles for weapons. It came into force late this afternoon and covers the town centre and 3 suburbs. The order lasts for 15 hours but could be extended. On to football, and Sheffield United women start their new season this weekend, aiming to capitalise on the success of the England team this summer. United play Blackburn away on Sunday in their opening match in the Women's Championship. They're hoping for bigger crowds and a higher profile after the Lionesses won the Euros.
Hopefully these big companies and big sponsors will see the value of the women's game now, and equally I hope the fans have enjoyed themselves. Maybe a lot of fans that have been new to women's football might have seen the quality that we do bring, and get themselves down to the local leagues, WSL, Championship, whatever league is nearest to them. Hopefully they get tickets this year and we have big attendances like we've just seen.
Yes, I'm sure they'll do us proud. Now, when Ian Beasley left school in Bradford, he found himself working in a sewage works. His workmates urged him to do something else, so he did: photography. Now he's an internationally acclaimed photographer, and a huge exhibition of his work is opening tomorrow at Salts Mill in Shipley. Kathy Killick has been to see it.
Taken over a 45-year career, it's astonishing to see just how much things have changed. But Ian Beasley's touching and humane photographs, taken mainly in the north, remind us not only of what's been lost, but also the human spirit that lives on.
I didn't do very well at school, and I ended up working in a mill for a while, which I hated. Then I worked in a foundry, which I did like, but I was such a weakling, I got fired. So I ended up working at the local sewage works. The men I were working with kept going, said, "You can't stay here. You must find something you're interested in and get an education, get an apprenticeship." And I bought a camera.
60,000 pictures later, a sublime selection is now on show. Wow. Tell me about this one.
Well, I was artist in residence at a psychiatric hospital, and we were looking at photographs in a magazine when this lady, Dolly, picked it up and held this picture to her face and started crying. I had a baby, and I was very distressed. And the director of the ward told me that she was one of them unfortunate women that was incarcerated for having an illegitimate child when she was young.
What a tragedy in one photo.
Yeah, it still chokes me up a bit, really.
Not surprised.
A great photographer, Paul Strand, said, "Everything you ever need to photograph is in 1 mile of your doorstep." I've never been interested in sort of celebrity or catastrophe or you know, the exotic. I've just been interested in what's around me.
Oh, now then, what have we got here then, Ian? This looks interesting.
Yeah, it's a chip shop in Bradford, which I used to walk past, and I was always interested in photographing it. And I went to photograph it, and the people inside came out and said, it'd be lovely to be photographed, because they were retiring the following week.
Why do you like it so much?
It's sort of a sense of defiance, isn't it? You know, they've knocked down all the streets, but the chip shop stays.
The show is aptly called Life, a life's work, as well as a loving record of lives lived. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Saltsmill.
Wow, stunning photographs there. Now, the best of Yorkshire has been showcased in a short film which has been viewed more than 2 million times since its release on Yorkshire Day. It aims to highlight what the region has to offer and is narrated by none other than the son of Sheffield, Sean Bean. We'll be speaking to one of the people behind the film, Sid Sadowski. But first, here's a glimpse.
Yorkshire is blessed with some of the most diverse landscapes in the country. It is the greenest county in the UK. An outdoor enthusiast's dream. Beautiful countryside, picture-perfect market towns and cities steeped in history. Yorkshire has it all.
Oh, it's a beautiful film, Sid. You must have been spoilt for choice with locations.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Yorkshire's just a playground like no other. Best place on the planet. So it was really, really easy to have that as our set, really.
Yeah.
So we filmed this over a 2-year period, and it was a very challenging period, obviously, to make the film. But it was a real privilege, you know, to take the whole brand Yorkshire forward, really.
And what made you decide to do it?
Yorkshire's the best place on the planet.
We know that.
And it's my home, and we've obviously been through a horrific period of time, you know, unprecedented. And just to emerge stronger, we wanted to produce something that's like a digital harpoon, really, for the whole of Yorkshire to be able to use this asset, to be able to attract investment, inspire tourism, and bring students back to Yorkshire. And just to emerge, you know, stronger after the pandemic. So it's a love letter. It's a calling card, which we just want everybody in Yorkshire to use and showcase the best that we've got here.
And it's been shown around the world. What's the response been like?
Yeah, we've got, over 3 million views now across all our channels. But the comments are what, you know, brings the most smile to your face, because we've had just incredible, you know, response, feedback from as far as Australia and Canada, over in the Middle East and places like Bali. It's incredible, like, people are actually putting Yorkshire at the top of their bucket list. We've had people from around the UK that it's inspired them already to consider living here. Certainly from a staycation market, they're looking at coming here to visit and holiday in all of Yorkshire, Jurassic coastlines, you know, with pitch perfect market towns, everything that's showcased in the film. It's just a great kind of postcard for everything.
And Sean Bean, no less, narrating it. How did you convince him to come on board?
Good question. I mean, Sean was the top of our list from day one. Myself and Scott, who's my co-producer, co-director on this project, we've been working on projects since we were 15. But Sean, as soon as we kind of approached his agent about being involved in this, he was just on board straight away. I think he's obviously Mr. Yorkshire in a way. He's the king of the North, and we've kind of through this film made him almost voice of the North. But yeah, he's a real legend. I mean, when we were actually recording the whole thing in Leeds, and as soon as he sort of said the first lines of the script, Scott and I just looked at each other, and it was like a proper sort of fist bump moment, you know, when you sort of see all of this sort of work over the last 2 years, and he just was the sort of cherry on the cake, really.
Instant gravitas. Thank you very much, Sid. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Now,
this brings us beautifully onto the weather, Keely.
Yes, indeed, and some beautiful pictures. Let's have a little look at some more stunning views of Yorkshire, some pictures that have been coming in over the last 24 hours or so. We're going to see these pictures. There we go. The first picture, sunny skies across Temple Newsome there in Leeds. A little more cloud in our second picture, taken in Ilkley. There you go, slightly cloudier skies there, a lovely nevertheless. And then another lovely sunrise in Scarborough taken this morning. I know we had one last night as well, but another lovely one taken this morning. You can keep your weather pictures coming in to the BBC Weather Watchers page, or you can tweet me, Keely Donovan, or I'm on Instagram to Keely.Donovan. So actually a good deal of dry and fine weather to come over the weekend. Most of the showers and rain will fall overnight. First tomorrow evening, and then another band of rain overnight Sunday into Monday. Tomorrow, bright and breezy. There'll be a few showers in the mix, but actually more of an emphasis on dry and fine weather. It's this cold front pushing southwards through Saturday evening, which is going to bring some sharp showers, and this Atlantic weather system moving in from the west, which could bring us some heavy spells of showery rain as we head through the night Sunday into Monday. So we have had a fair amount of cloud today, but it's been broken in places. We got up to 22 degrees at Bridlington this afternoon. There's been a few showers, and we'll continue to see one or two over the Pennines, perhaps the Dales, as we head through this evening and overnight. But as you can see, it's a largely dry and fine story with broken cloud and clear spells, and certainly a comfortable night. Temperatures down to around 11 or 12 degrees. Let's have a quick look at those high water times then. In Filey at 17 minutes past 11, at 12 minutes past 11 in Scarborough. So we'll start the weekend with plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Cloud is going to bubble up, and as you can see from the graphics, a scattering of showers. So there will be some showers about, but I think there will also be a good deal of dry and bright weather in between. Those showers being blown through on a moderate to fresh and at times gusty southwest breeze. Like today, temperatures could get up to around 22 degrees. These showers might have a bit of a bite in them as they sink southwards Saturday night. Sunday doesn't look too bad. Further rain overnight Sunday into Monday. Amanda.
I thought rain was welcome. Thank you very much, Keely. It's lovely, a little bit cooler for us all. Thank you very much. That is it from us. Do have a lovely weekend, whatever you have planned. Keely and I will be back with the late weather and news just after 10 o'clock. Hope you can join us then. Goodbye.